Hey everyone, it's Kate, and July is Let's Get Physical month at the Confident Stitch, and so today I'm going to show you how to make this indestructible yoga mat sling out of Kraft-Tex. We're filming this on Facebook Live and YouTube Live, and if you're watching on YouTube and you want to learn more about sewing and quilting, you should subscribe to our channel. I'm going to head over to the overhead. The instructions for this bag can be found in our Kraft-Tex style book, and it was designed by Carrie Bloomston, who is one of my favorite quilting cotton designers. If you don't know about Kraft-Tex, it is a rough and tough, think of it as a paper fabric hybrid, but really it's just paper. It's a cellulose paper product that you can sew on, and it's great for bags and wallets. The Kraft-Tex style book has 27 different projects, and they're really fun. You'll need to buy the book to make the project, but this video will be a great companion to the written instructions in the book. So we sell untreated plain Kraft-Tex, like this kind of paper bag colored Kraft-Tex by the bolt. And we also have packages of really fun colors. The packages are pre-washed. The Kraft-Tex in the packages are pre-washed. So they're really kind of fun and crinkly. The fun thing about Kraft-Tex is you can wash it and dry it, and if you need it to be more pliable, you can put it in boiling water. It's really kind of a magical material. I am going to make a half-size sling for you so that it'll be easier for me to show you the steps. To make the full size, you need a whole yard of Kraft-Tex, and of course, unfortunately, our fun packages of the colors are only 28.5 inches long. So if you want to make a fun colored one like this one, you'll either need to get 2 packages, or if you have some Kraft-Tex scraps, like I'm just going to use a contrasting pocket for my sample. Or you can just use fabric. You don't have to, the whole thing doesn't have to be Kraft-Tex. And because Kraft-Tex is washable and dryable, you can use any washable and dryable material to combine with your Kraft-Tex. So you'll need your 1 yard of fabric, and then you also need 98 inches of webbing. For my big one, I used 1 inch wide cotton webbing, but you can also use nylon. You can use nylon webbing, and you just have to finish the ends a little bit differently depending on the type of webbing you use. Don't you love how my fingernails match the fabric? I'm so excited to have fancy fingernails. And you can also use a D-ring if you want to make a little key holder on your yoga sling. So the first step is to cut your sling and your pocket with a rotary cutter. Rotary cutters are best for cutting Kraft-Tex, but since it is paper, it will dull the blade, and so you might want to have a rotary cutter that is just for your Kraft-Tex projects. And I swear, once you make one, you're going to want to make more because it's really fun stuff. You also might want to have a dedicated needle for sewing with your Kraft-Tex. I used a size 16 jeans needle on this, but you can experiment to see what size needle you want to use. So after you cut it out, my little mini one is approximately 8 by 12 inches, and my little mini pocket is 3 3/4 by 4 1/4. The first step is to hem the top and the bottom of your sling by turning them under 3/8 of an inch and then stitching at 1/4 inch. And I'm going to show you how I like to hem Kraft-Tex with the little pocket. So here's my pocket, and you're going to do the same thing with a 1 of the long edges of your pocket. So what I like to do when I'm hemming Kraft-Tex is on the right side, I draw a line at the hem mark. So this is 3/8 of an inch. And then I can finger press it in place right on, and I can see the line. I'm using my air erasing sew line pen. It works really well on this. You can really use almost anything that you use on fabric to mark on Kraft-Tex as well. So I'm going to finger press it, and then you can just press it with an iron. And then I am going to top stitch it from the top. I'm not going to stitch it down from the wrong side, because even more than fabric, Kraft-Tex looks pretty bad on the bobbin side, I think. So I'm going to mark my 1/4 inch stitching line on the right side. And now I'm going to go over to the machine and stitch right along that line. I'm just using I'm using my 2.5 millimeter regular stitch length. I experimented with some others and I thought this worked best. And I'm gonna, so Kraft-Tex gets kind of gets perforations in it. So I started about a 1/4 inch in and then went back and then forward again so that I wouldn't have too many stitches on top of each other at the ends of my seam. And back. So it's really very similar to sewing with fabric. It doesn't stretch at all, so there's not a lot of fudging you can do. So I'm going to go back to the overhead. And after you hem your pocket, you want to draw 2 lines along the long edges of your sling. On the big size, they're 3.5 inches from the edge, and on my mini one, I'm doing 1 3/4 inches. So I've already drawn the lines, which is why it looks like I'm not really measuring, but I am. Hopefully you can see that. And then you also want to draw a line parallel to the top. In the big one, it's supposed to be 1.5 inches from the top, but this one is 3/4 of an inch. And then you're going to take the hemmed edge of your pocket and line it up with this line that you just drew, and generally make sure that it's centered in between these 2 lines. And then we're going to sew down the bottom of the pocket. And you'll see that the sides are going to be enclosed in the webbing. So let's go back to the sewing machine. And, you know, it's not complete. This is also a 3/8 of an inch seam, and it's not completely important that you backstitch, because the webbing is going to be holding this in. And it might be a good idea not to backstitch so that you're not making too many perforations. This is my high school graduation sewing machine, because our FAF is at the shop. And I am embarrassed. Maybe I should be proud to say it's 40 years old, but it doesn't have all the bells and whistles I'm used to. All right, so when you have the pocket sewn down, it's time to put the webbing on. And Kraft-Tex, it's not a good idea to pin Kraft-Tex because the holes can be permanent. So my secret weapon is this Wonder Tape. It's 1/4 inch wide. It will wash away. I don't know how much you're going to wash this yoga sling, but if you do, this tape will disappear. So I am just going to put it down on the inside of each of the lines that I drew. So it has paper on one side and then a stickiness on the other side. So I'm going to put those down and then just make sure that they're well stuck. Then I will peel away the paper on one half. And this is my make-believe webbing, which is really just bias tape. And I want to put it right on the inside of the lines that I drew. Oops, wait. And I marked it, so I have to make sure I do it right. Okay, so I'm just gonna, I'm sticking it initially on the Wonder Tape. And with my mini one, I want the handles to be 12 inches, and I've actually marked, so you don't have to watch me awkwardly measure. The measuring is a little bit awkward. And so on the big one, it's 24¼ inches. Let me get this going with my beautiful new fingernails. And so it doesn't stick perfectly. So I'll show you how to make it really stick. So I've marked the 12-inch mark here, and now I'm going to stick it down on the other side. And the instructions don't actually have you use Wonder Tape, but I found that with the big one, my presser foot was kind of pushing the thicker webbing to the side, and I was having trouble keeping it lined up. So another 12-inch handle here, and make sure you're not twisting, and then stick it down. Now, because this is bias tape, I'm just going to trim this top layer, and then I can turn it under, and I will enclose it that way. With my thicker cotton webbing, I actually folded the two ends under and butted them up kind of like this. If you're using nylon webbing, you can burn one edge and just lap it over the other edge. So the Wonder Tape works just fine with a lightweight bias tape like this, but it sticks even better if you touch it up with an iron. And I found that with the thicker webbing, I really needed to do that. It wasn't sticking that well. So just iron it down. And we're going to go back to the machine and sew this down. That's looking really cute. Too bad I don't have a doll to give it to. All right. So you want to start at the top of one edge. And I used a full 3/8 inch top stitching edge because I found, especially with this old machine, that I really needed to have the whole, oops, and my thread came out. I really needed to have the whole foot on the webbing so that it would feed nicely. This machine, it only has 2 needle positions, neither of which are really helpful. If you can move the needle better with your machine, you can have the whole foot. Oh, actually, this might work. This is the other needle position, number 2 might work. So you'll just want to figure out how best to top stitch with your machine, but it is good to have the whole foot on your webbing so that it just feeds a little nicer. So I did a little back stitch. Not beautiful right there, but And you do want to make sure that you are grabbing the pocket in your top stitching. I can hear that and there I got stuck, so I know that I grabbed it. There we go. And then back stitch. I tried a little zigzag at the top, but then realized that zigzag is not a good idea with Kraft-Tex because it's too many perforations. So you really just need to back stitch. You know, I'm just so spoiled with the automatic cutter, and I feel so old-fashioned. Okay, I'm going to do, I'm going to do it like this. So I'm going to do the other inside edge really quick. So you'll do both inside edges and then both outside edges. Oh, and I forgot to do the D-ring, but here, I'm going to do it really fast. No, I'm not. You have to get the D-ring on before you start sewing. But you can just place it right here and sew up to it from one edge and then sew down from the top. And, see, I keep catching on the lip of my machine. Okay. And then back stitch. Good idea to use matching thread, so no one will see if it's not quite straight. But let's head back over to the overhead real quick. So you can see on my mini sling, I did these two top stitching, and then you'll do one more row of top stitching on both of the webbings. And then, too bad I don't have a mini yoga mat. It's just really a cute yoga mat sling. Yeah, as I was walking around the store with my new one this morning, I really started liking it. I do take yoga, and now that we can go back to class, it'll be nice to actually carry it in a nice little yoga sling. And the title is the Indestructible Yoga Sling, and Kraft-Tex really is indestructible. I love it. So that is how you make an indestructible yoga sling out of Kraft-Tex. I'll be back on Saturday at 9:30 a.m. Mountain Time to show you all of our athletic fabrics. And then I'll be back at the end of the month to show you how to make leggings. So I look forward to seeing you on Saturday. Bye for now. See you soon.